Many thanks for joining us at this hour on the news on ASO Television News. I am Richard. I'll let you know about the headlines. President Tinubu arrives in Tokyo for state visits. Wike warns FCT workers of sanctions as court orders end to strike. Nigerian military concludes investigation as 16 officers set to be court-martialed. Customs smashes records with 7.28 trillion revenue in 2025. The news in detail. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has arrived in Ankara, the capital of the Republic of Turkey, on a state visit aimed at strengthening bilateral relations between both countries. The president had earlier departed Abuja at about 2:05 p.m. on Monday from the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. According to a statement issued by Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, his aircraft touched down at the Ankara Samboga Airport at 9:03 p.m. local time, and it was received by a Turkish government delegation led by the Minister of National Education, Yusuf Tekin. Also present to welcome him was the Chief Charge d'Affaires at the Nigerian Embassy in Turkey, Ambassador Zayed Abdul Salam, alongside other embassy officials. The presidency revealed that President Tinubu's visit is focused on consolidating the existing cordial relations between Nigeria and Turkey and exploring additional areas of cooperation to advance a mutually beneficial partnership. During the visit, President Tinubu is expected to hold discussions with his Turkish counterpart, President Recep Erdogan. The program will also include the signing of several memoranda of understanding between both countries alongside other official engagements. President Bola Tinubu has called on Nigerians to embrace unity, religious tolerance, and peaceful coexistence as critical pillars for national security and development. The president made this call at the 4th International Conference of the Civ Center for Islamic Civilization and Interfaith Dialogue at Bayero University, Kano. President Tinubu was represented at the event by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris. President Tinubu commended the Center for Islamic Civilization and Interfaith Dialogue and the Sultan Bello Mosque, Kaduna, for sustaining dialogue that promotes peace and national cohesion. He described the conference's focus on the legacy of the late Sheikh Mahmoud Abubakar Gumi as timely and instructive, noting that the renowned Islamic scholar played a significant role in promoting national unity during critical moments in Nigeria's history. The president described Sheikh Gumi as a distinguished scholar, reformer, and national figure whose influence extended beyond religious circles. Addressing current national challenges, the president urged Nigerians to reject narratives that portray the country as intolerant of religious freedom. He said, "We must strengthen resolve for a more united country." President Tinubu also highlighted Nigeria's security cooperation with the United States, stressing that it is focused on counter-terrorism and civilian protection while respecting Nigeria's sovereignty. He concluded by urging Nigerians to uphold shared values and peaceful coexistence, describing unity as the foundation for lasting peace. The First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has donated 2 state-of-the-art mobile clinics to the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, to help strengthen its rural health program. The mobile clinics donated under the Renewed Hope Initiative Health Support Program were formally presented at a ceremony which took place at the headquarters of the Nigerian Customs Service in Maitama, Abuja. The Taraba State government also received 1 mobile clinic at the event. Speaking on the occasion, Senator Tinubu commended successive badges of corps members for being drivers of the NYSC health interventions, adding that the donation of the mobile clinics will support the numerous medical outreaches of the scheme, especially under its health initiative for rural dwellers. The First Lady added that her visits to Taraba State last year necessitated the donation of 1 mobile clinic to the state government in order to complement its effort on health care delivery. The Director General of the NYSC, Brigadier General Olakunle Nafiu, described the First Lady's gesture as a timely and strategic intervention that would significantly expand the HIRD. General Nafiu said the Renewed Hope initiative's philosophy, anchored on the belief that health is not a privilege but a right, aligns perfectly with the NYSC's mandate and ongoing efforts to deliver free health care services to underserved communities. He disclosed that in 2025 alone, over 6,300 core medical personnel, including more than 2,300 doctors, were deployed to remote areas to improve access to health care. Also speaking, the governor of Taraba State, Dr. Kefas Abu, thanked Senator Oluremi Tinubu for the donation and assured that the state government remained committed to advancing the welfare of residents of the state. The National Industrial Court sitting in Abuja has ordered FCTA workers under the Joint Union Action Committee to immediately suspend their ongoing strike action against the Federal Capital Territory Administration, delivering a ruling on Tuesday in a suit number NICN ABJ 17-2026. Justice E.D. Subilim granted an interlocutory injunction filed by the FCT Minister Barrister Nyesom Wike and the FCTA. The court restrained the JUAC leadership and its agents from further embarking on any industrial action, picketing or lockout pending the determination of a substantive suit. Justice Sibilim held that while the matter constitutes a trade dispute, the law prohibits workers from participating in a strike once a dispute has been referred to the National Industrial Court. He emphasized that any ongoing industrial action must cease to allow for the judicial determination of the case. The court has adjourned the matter until March 23rd, 2026 for the hearing of the substantive suit. Meanwhile, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Barrister Ezenwo Nyesom Wike, has warned striking staff of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA, to return to work or face legal consequences following a ruling by the National Industrial Court ordering an end to the industrial action that has disrupted services in Abuja for more than a week. Briefing journalists on Tuesday, shortly after a court's decision, Barrister Wike said the FCTA was compelled to seek judicial intervention after sensing that the strike had been hijacked by political interest, despite ongoing efforts to resolve the dispute through dialogue and mediation. He maintained that the rule of law must be respected and enforced. Barrister Wike said the administration had already addressed many of the workers' demands, describing some of the remaining issues as frivolous. He disclosed that over 12 billion naira had just been approved for the payment of January salaries to FCTA workers, adding that the territory had also recorded significant growth in internally generated revenue exceeding 30 billion naira under the current administration. The minister urged workers to appreciate reforms being implemented by the FCTA, including the establishment of the Civil Service Commission and ongoing infrastructure development, arguing that inefficiencies within the public service had contributed to underdevelopment in the FCT and other states across the country. Barrister Wike dismissed claims that he was forced out of his office during the strike, describing the report as false, and warned that any further attempts to shut down government operations would attract sanctions. He said workers who failed to resume duties in compliance with the court order would face the full weight of the law as the administration moves to restore normalcy across the nation's capital. Gwagwalada chairman of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, Honorable Abdullahi Yunusa, has continued his inspection tour of the ongoing permanent voter card distribution exercise being conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Gwagwalada Area Council. The inspection took place in the Dobi zone, which comprises Paiko, Ibwa, and Dobi wards. The visit was aimed at assessing the level of compliance, efficiency, and transparency of the exercise, as well as encouraging eligible voters to collect their PVCs and actively participate in the democratic process. During the tour, Honorable Abdullahi Yunusa interacted with INEC officials, party stakeholders, and community members at various PVC collection centers. He commended the orderly conduct of the exercise in most wards, but also drew attention to minor challenges observed in some locations. He urged INEC officials to promptly address these issues to ensure that no eligible voter is disenfranchised. The PDP chairman called on party members and the general public to intensify mobilization of residents, particularly youth and first-time voters, to take advantage of the ongoing exercise and secure their voting rights, ahead of the forthcoming FCT Area Council elections. Honorable Yunusa reaffirmed the PDP's commitment to deepening democracy at the grassroots level in Gwagwalada Area Council. According to him, the inspection tour underscores the party's resolve to promote credible elections, strengthen public confidence in the electoral process, and position the PDP for effective participation and victory in the upcoming polls. The Armed Forces of Nigeria has concluded investigations into disciplinary cases involving 16 officers arrested in October 2025 for acts of indiscipline and breaches of service regulations. In an update issued by the Director of Defense Information, Major General Samaila Ubar, the Defense Headquarters disclosed that the investigation report has been completed and forwarded to the appropriate superior authority in line with the extant military regulations. According to the statement, the investigations were conducted in accordance with established military procedures and thoroughly examined the circumstances surrounding the conduct of the affected officers. Findings from the probe revealed that a number of the officers are facing allegations bordering on plotting to overthrow the government, acts described as being fundamentally inconsistent with the ethics, values, and professional standards of the Armed Forces of Nigeria. Consequently, officers found to have cases to answer will be formally arraigned before appropriate military judicial panels to face trial in line with the Armed Forces Act and other applicable service regulations. The Armed Forces of Nigeria noted that the process reflects its commitments to accountability, fairness, and due process. The military authorities emphasize that the actions being taken are purely disciplinary and form part of internal mechanisms designed to preserve order, discipline, and operational effectiveness within the ranks. The Armed Forces of Nigeria reaffirmed its resolve to uphold the highest standards of professionalism, loyalty, and respect for constitutional authority, assuring the public of its continued commitment to national security and democratic governance. You are watching ASO Television News. Don't forget that you can watch us live on DSTV channel 392, StarTimes TV channel 127, and on Free TV we are on channel 507. On the UHF band you can find us on channel 38. You can also find us on stream on Facebook and YouTube. Now, still to come, Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria achieves dual ISO certifications, boost Nigeria's global aviation standing. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Good evening and welcome to the greatest show on earth.
This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come.
Let's go! Lights, camera, action. Put your mind to it, let the lights are true.
Don't score.
Stay connected. Stay with us, starting from Yanga and Jolly.
The National Housing Data Technical Committee, inaugurated by the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, has released new housing sector data indicating that Nigeria's housing deficit for 2025 stood at 14.925 million housing units. The data was presented by Dr. Taufik Olatinwo, Chairman of the National Housing Data Technical Committee and the Director at Nigeria Mortgage Refinance Company, during a technical session at the 14th National Council on Lands, Housing and Urban Development, which held in Ilorin from 19th to 23rd of January 2026. According to the presentation, recent analysis conducted under the National Housing Data Program offers more scientific estimates compared to unverified figures touted over the last few years. The data, which focused on number of persons per room as a standard for determining deficit, highlights persistent supply gaps driven by rapid population growth, urbanization pressures, limited access to long-term housing finance, land and title constraints, and inadequate housing supply across several regions. Housing Minister Architect Ahmed Musa Dangiwa commended the committee for finally putting the issue of Nigeria's housing data to rest, noting that one of the biggest gaps in the housing sector has been the absence of reliable, centralized, and actionable housing data. Speaking further, he said without data, planning becomes guesswork, investment becomes speculative, and tracking progress becomes difficult. Earlier in his remark, Dr. Olatiwu explained that the deficit estimates were derived from multiple validated data sources, including National Household Surveys, population and housing census data, and housing adequacy indices developed under international best practices frameworks. The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, has successfully attained 2 internationally recognized certifications: ISO 9001:2015 Quality Management System and ISO 14001:2015 Environmental Management System. The certifications were awarded by MSECB Canada following a comprehensive and independent audit of FAN's systems and operations. FAN's Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, Henry Agbebire, who confirmed this in a statement, said this achievement confirms that FAN's operational processes meet global standards for quality management, environmental responsibility, and continual improvements. It said it underscores the authority's commitments to delivering efficient, safe, and customer-focused airport services while promoting sustainable environmental practices across FAN-managed airports. The statement noted that the attainment of these certifications further strengthens FAN's institutional credibility and positions Nigeria's airports to compete more effectively on the global aviation stage. FAN also appreciated the continued support of its stakeholders and commends the dedication and professionalism of its workforce in achieving this important milestone. The authority assured that it remains committed to upholding international best practices and continuously improving service delivery across the Nigerian aviation sector. The senior pastor of the First Baptist Church, Garki Abuja, has urged Nigerians to exercise their civic and civil responsibilities ahead of the 2027 general elections by obtaining their permanent voters' cards and voting rightly. He disclosed this during the church's annual White Robe Sunday service in Abuja with the theme, The Year of Advance. Our correspondent, Subrat Usman, tells us more.
Members of the First Baptist Church, Garki Abuja, all adorned in white attire, sang and offered prayers in unity and forgiveness, seeking purification, forgiveness, and divine intervention from God during the White Robe Sunday service, which followed a 21-day period of fasting. Explaining the essence of the White Sunday service, the senior pastor, First Baptist Garki Abuja, Reverend Tom Tapatore, urged Nigerians to rightly exercise their civic and civil responsibilities, particularly as the 2027 general elections draw nearer.
Politics should be about service to humanity, service to the nation, service to the future of our nation. We should look beyond the now, here and today, and think about what can happen in our nation in the next 20, 50 years.
The White Robe service, which worshippers described as a fresh start for their lives and the church, also serve as an opportunity for members to rededicate their lives to God.
We not only come to God with our requests, but rededicating our lives to God, seeking God's face, for the remaining days and months and weeks of the year.
For the past several days, we've been on the mountain, waiting and praying for ourselves, for our community, and for the nation.
And so all of us, we have come together in this appearance, symbolizing that we are united in one, in heart, in mind, and in purpose.
Prayers were also offered for the nation's capital and Nigeria as a whole. Sobra Usman, ASU Television News.
Former members of the National Assembly under the umbrella's National Forum of Former Legislators have passed a vote of confidence in President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration and endorsed him as the sole candidate for the 2027 general elections. These and other resolutions are contained in the communique issued at the end of the Forum's 2026 National Summit with the theme National Unity and Nation Building Beyond 2031, held last weekend in Abuja. Our National Assembly correspondent Rosemary Okokotega was there and brings us the details.
The forum also in the released communique advocated that rotational presidency between the northern and southern parts of the country be embedded in the constitution to sustain national unity beyond 2031. This approach, according to the forum, would eliminate doubt, build enduring trust between the north and the south, and provide clarity for future generations. Convener of the summit, former Speaker of the House of Representatives, who is now Chief of Staff to President Tinubu, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, highlighted the feats Nigeria already attained under the current leadership and maintained there is need for continuity. Other former speakers, Patricia Ete and Mr. Yakubu Dogara, also spoke separately in alignment.
President Tinubu's government has advanced numerous initiatives built on the foundation of national unity, through programs that span the entire country, economic reforms that include all Nigerians, and coordinated security efforts. The administration works to strengthen bonds among citizens regardless of region. This approach reflects the renewed hope agenda's core emphasis on unity, shared responsibility, and progress that benefits everyone.
And when we held this same summit in Abeokuta, I don't think I need to hide my feelings, because we believe in continuity. And I didn't hide it, I said it, and I pleaded that they should give us opportunity to finish our term. And I assure them that when is the turn of the northerners, we do not need to start arguing with them. We will support them wholeheartedly.
So he said, as far as they are concerned, their 2027 election, especially presidential election, is already decided. That the president can go to bed.
National coordinator of the forum, Mr. Raphael Igbokwe, former Senate President and Chairman of the forum's 2026 summit, Ken Nnamani, as well as the current Deputy President of the Senate, Jibrin Barau, further explained the task before the former lawmakers towards achieving the mandate of ensuring President Tinubu's re-election bid.
We are gathered here as former legislators who will go back and educate the voters, because we don't expect all voters to come and sit here.
Democracy thrives not only on elections and institutions, but on shared values, collective memory, and responsible leadership across generations. Former legislators have a critical role to play in nurturing these values by mentoring younger lawmakers, promoting legislative professionalism, and defending democratic principles at all times.
Going by the stance of the forum, Nigeria's presidency should rotate to the north in 2031 after completion of the current southern presidency under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Rosemary Kokotega, ASO Television News.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has congratulated Chevron Nigeria Limited on the successful completion of the Awodi 07 appraisal and exploration well in the shallow offshore western Niger Delta. The well is operated under the NNPCL joint venture. Drilling began in late November 2025 and concluded in mid-December, with all activities carried out safely, efficiently, and in strict compliance with operational and regulatory standards. Comprehensive testing, logging, and data acquisition confirmed a significant presence of hydrocarbons across multiple reservoir zones, marking a notable milestone for the joint venture. NNPCL said the success underscores the effectiveness of disciplined exploration, sound technical evaluation, and strong operational collaboration between partners. Group Managing Director, Group Chiefs CEO Bashir Ojulari commended Chevron Nigeria Limited, stating that the achievement reinforces the joint venture's commitment to responsibly growing Nigeria's hydrocarbon reserves, increasing production, and enhancing national energy security. Executive Vice President Upstream, Mr. Udi Ntia, highlighted the discovery to sustained collaboration and the positive impact of the sector reforms under the Petroleum Industry Act. NNPCL Limited and Chevron Nigeria Limited, which hold 60 and 40% interest respectively, aims to increase oil production to 146,000 barrels per day, supporting government revenue, job creation, and national energy supply. The Nigeria Customs Service has recorded a major revenue milestone in 2025, generating a total of 7.281 trillion naira, marking one of its strongest financial performances in recent years. The Controller General of Customs, Bashir Adeniyi, disclosed this on Monday in Abuja while delivering an address at the 2026 World Customs Day celebration, where he highlighted the impact of reforms, technology deployment, and enhanced stakeholder engagement on the agency's performance. He said the revenue outturn exceeded the service's approved annual target of 6.5 trillion by 697 billion naira, reflecting a positive variance of more than 10% above expectations. According to him, the revenue figure represents a growth of over 10% above the target and a year-on-year increase of about 19% compared to the 6.1 trillion collected in 2024. He confirmed that as they protect society and reform procedures, they must also sustain the financial health of the state. The Customs Boss explained that the service recorded a significant improvement over the previous year, attributing the surge to structural and operational changes rather than aggressive enforcement compared to 2024 collections. Total revenue rose from 6.1 trillion naira to 7.28 trillion naira, an increase of approximately 1.18 trillion naira, or about 19% on year-on-year basis. Now, following the completion of its verification exercise, the federal government has commenced the plotting of the disputed and newly drilled oil and gas wells, noting that the exercise was necessary to ensure that oil-producing states receive their rightful share of revenue in line with the Constitution. The press statement signed by the head of Information and Public Relations Units to the Commission, Mariam Umar Yusuf, indicates that the chairman, Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission, Dr. Mohammed Bello Shehu, disclosed this in Abuja while addressing members of the press during a flag-off ceremony, while expressing confidence that the outcome of the exercise would significantly reduce dispute and strengthen trust in the derivation process. Dr. Shehu assured stakeholders that the Commission would remain impartial throughout the process. He acknowledged that the exercise cuts across all oil-producing states, including Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Bayelsa, Ondo, Rivers, Delta, and offshore locations, stressing that it is the facts on ground that will reveal who actually owns what and if ownership has to be shared between states. And that does it all on the news at this hour. But before we go, a recap of one of our major stories again. We told you that President Bola Tinubu has arrived in Ankara, the capital of the Republic of Turkey, on a state visit aimed at strengthening bilateral relations between both countries. That's the news. I am Richard Alechinwanibe. Many thanks for watching.